Hey everyone, so great to see you. It's Judy from Coffee, Cookies, and Books, and well, we've got another review for Tic Tac TBR round 4. So here we are again, round 4, 5 books finished. Okay, now before we get into talking about the reviews for the books that I read for round 4, I just wanted to talk about KU round 2. I think I had pulled it. I think we did do the video on it, and I had 5 books that I was supposed to read, and I'm not going to complete the Kindle Unlimited round, okay? And that's just not going to have time. I'm really concentrating on getting my physical books read. So there were 5 books. It was Blood and Betrayals, which I did buy the actual hardback for Blood and Betrayal, so that's going to go on my TBR at some point anyway. Nousecraft World 3, again, I bought the hard copy for that one, so that's going to go, and that's going to get hauled, so you will see that in my haul. Daggermouth, The Light Under the Flame, I can't remember exactly the title, don't have the full title written down here, and Dive Bar at the End of the Road. Dive Bar at the End of the Road is an arc and probably will get finished by the end of August, but I'm just going to include that in the arcs that I'm going to review and that I'm going to read in September, and I am going to talk about that when we talk about my September TBR. So that's my KU stuff. I just kind of wanted to get that discussed and out of the way before I get into the books that I did read for round 4. Okay, so the first one that I read for round 4 is Finlay Donovan Rolls the Dice. Okay, I think this is the 4th book in the Finlay Donovan series, and this one was picked for 9, nah, make it a 10, choose 5-star prediction. So yeah, so this was 5 stars. It did have some spice in it. This one did. The previous ones have not really had anything like that, but this one had her and Nick's relationship moved along fairly well in this one, which is great because, you know, we've had 3 books that have been leading up to this point. Now, I can't say a ton, but what you have is you have all the standard characters. You have Finlay, of course. You have Vero, who is her best friend and also lives with her and is kind of the nanny to her kids. And then you've got Stephen, who is her ex-husband. Her mom plays a pretty big role in this one, which is hilarious, okay? Her sister also plays a fairly big role in this one. And then, of course, there's Nick, the detective that she is now involved with. There are many other characters that kind of come to play from the first books. Actually, kind of book 3, they were stronger, and they kind of continue into this one. So in this one, a friend of Vero's, Hawley, has been kidnapped by hoodlums from Atlantic City, okay? And this is them saying that Vero owes them money, and they've kidnapped Hawley to get the money, and they've also taken this car that has been kind of attached to Finlay because of a mobster leading up to this. So they all go to Atlantic City to save Hawley, okay? And somehow Stephen, her ex-husband, ends up going along because the kids end up going along, and then her mother ends up going along, and then her sister shows up. Oh, it is insane chaos. Insane chaos. Probably, like, I liked the 3rd book quite a lot. This, though, was just the situations that they got in I laughed so hard. There were a couple of scenes in this that were just the best. The best. Okay. And I was like, I swear to God, I don't know what the heck could happen next. Like, I have no idea what could possibly happen next, because this was nuts. It was nuts. Okay. I mean, of course, in the end, Finlay is still standing. All right. Her kids, her mom, Stephen, Nick, Vera, and even Hawley, who is like in pretty bad shape. They're all still there at the end. Okay. But how they get there is insane. So 5 stars. It was definitely a 5-star. I'm so glad I read this. I enjoyed it so much. Okay. I can't even tell you. It was just so good. So good. Yeah. Loved it. It's like one of those ones where, I can't wait to read the next one in this series, because like, what could possibly happen next? That's what you kind of think in your head. It's like, this woman is just chaos walking on 2 legs. And that's basically it, But I love Elle Cosimano's writing. I really, really do love her writing. So I know I'm going to enjoy the next book. Okay, next one I read is A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon by Sarah Hawley. And this is part of a series. I think I have the next book in the series. Don't know if I'm going to continue, and I will explain beyond that. It's going to depend on how the next book goes. This I gave 3 stars. Didn't knock my socks off. Thought it was a bit too much. It was literally 4 chili peppers. Like, there was a lot of spice in the book, more than I expected there to be. So you've got Muriel, who she is a witch, okay? But she is not the witch that her parents, well, mostly her mother, really, really wants her to be. They want her to be like this witch that can conjure spells and all these things like that. And every time she tries to conjure a spell, she screws it up. But she is a plant witch, okay? She can do incredible things with plants, like incredible things. She has an amazing greenhouse, all this stuff like this. But what happens is, and she's got a couple of friends, I should probably say this right off the bat. There's Calandria. I think Calandria is a witch, and then Themi, who is a sprite, or like a fae, a little fae. And so at the very beginning of the book, she is trying out a spell, and she conjures forth a demon, okay? And this demon, Oz, is supposed to take Muriel's soul. That's the trade-off. And he will not leave her until she gives him her soul. But he needs her permission to take it, okay? So, of course, everything that is going on between them is that struggle. He wants the soul, and she doesn't want to give it to him, right? And she doesn't know how to get rid of him. And there's essentially kind of no way to get rid of him, because she's afraid if she tries another spell, she's going to screw it up. So everybody thinks Oz, particularly her parents and everything like that, none of them know that he's a demon. And you can imagine chaos ensues. But in the meantime, he is living with her in her house. Like, he has to stay there in her house with her, because he can't be, like, he has a maximum distance that he can be from her, or it's very painful, right? The other thing is there's some weird stuff going on because something that happened to him previously with somebody else he was supposed to collect a soul from was another wizard, and this wizard did something to him, that something's happening to him, okay, and he's not really sure. And then there is another demon in the background, and like his boss demon, right, playing a part in the background of all of this. So there's that. And then there's kind of a side story that is about them trying to conserve the forest because they want to rip it down and put some kind of resort in there. And that has to do with her mother and her best friend's mother, who hate each other but still are trying to get this done in the town, right? So there's all that kind of going on. There was almost a little bit too much going on where that was concerned, but somehow her and Oz end up together a lot. It's like nonstop at certain point. So I didn't love it. And then there were other points where it was like, oh, just get on with the story. Like I kind of felt like that at certain points in the book. So that's why I didn't enjoy it all that much. I think I would have enjoyed it a little bit more if there had been less sexual content and a little more angst between the two of them as all these things were going down. Okay, I think the book would have been more interesting. I think that the sexual part between it was kind of didn't need to be there. It didn't need to be there, in my humble opinion. Okay, I think it kind of ruined it a little bit for me, even though I'm the last person who I have no issues with that. Okay, I just didn't love that part, and I thought it kind of really brought the book down for me because I thought it really interrupted the flow of the story a little for me on what was happening between her and him and what was happening with her and what was going on in the forest, which had to do with his boss. So that was a lot more interesting to me. Okay, that play of what was going on in the background, I enjoyed that part more of the book. Yeah, so that's this one. So like I said, I do have the second one, which I think has to do with her friend Calandria, I think. So we'll see where that goes, okay? Oh, and one more thing. I forgot to say what this was for. This was for number 7. 7 rhymes with 11. Choose a book with the most words in the title. So that was this one, okay? Had the most words in the title. All right, so that was that one. All right. Okay, next one that I had is a Doomful of Sugar by Catherine Bruns. And this one was for 3 rhymes with tree, choose a book with foliage on the cover. So I picked that one. And of course, it does have very much a fall scene going on with it. And yeah, so is this a cozy mystery series? How many are in? So there are 3 books in the series so far. I don't know if there's going to be more, but I gave this 4.5 stars. Okay, loved it. Really enjoyed it. Way more than I expected to. But it is not what I would consider to be a traditional just cozy mystery. I thought it was more of a mystery with a slightly cozy vibe, and the coziest thing about it was that it was on a maple syrup farm. I thought the mystery portion of it was pretty intense. Okay, so you have Lila Corey. She is the daughter of the father that owned this maple syrup farm. Okay, and somebody shot him. So she has to come home because he left the farm to her. So that's how all of this gets started. Now, at the farm, there is a cafe store. So they have like the cafe where they serve certain things, and then they sell a lot of maple syrup product, all that kind of thing. It is a very successful maple syrup farm. And then there is a guy who, Noah, who runs the actual farm part of it. So he does all of the tapping of the trees to get the maple syrup, everything like that. I think this is all in Vermont, if I'm not mistaken. And Noah had wanted to buy the farm. So, of course, Lila kind of suspects him a little bit of maybe being the one who took out her father. Now, Lila comes from a fairly traditional family. I think her family is the Turkish, or I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't think it has it on here either. They're either Turkish, Arabic, like they have or Persian, that kind of thing. So her mom is pretty traditional. Her father was a bit not quite as bad as her mom, but like they had the reason that she had left and went to the city to work was because what happened was they had arranged a marriage for her, and the guy that they had arranged the marriage with, he broke it off. Okay, and her mother was upset, said, kind of blamed her. Meanwhile, it was this guy. They didn't love each other. They just didn't have any feelings for each other, and so they went their own ways. So it's like very much the whole arranged marriage sort of thing. So her mother was, I would call, fairly traditional in the back. So that was one of the reasons she left. So when she comes back, there is stress between her and her mother, and she's dealing with that. And her brother is like a journalist, a reporter for a newspaper. He has no interest in the farm. Basically has no interest in it. So everything is kind of coming down to who did this to her father. The mystery part behind it, that was amazing. I thought that it was incredible, okay? I thought it was written really, really well. I actually had no idea up until the end who it really was, like who was behind it. There was kind of a little bit of an inkling at one point about, because there were two main players on what was kind of happening in the background. And I sort of had a slight inkling in it at one point on who it might have been that did that to her father. There was even a point where somebody else ended up shot. He jumped in front of her because they were aiming at her, essentially, because they wanted her out of the way. So, and that was because she was investigating. She was looking into what was going on with her dad, all right? And she found out things about her father and the past that had to do with the farm, okay? And how all that was transpiring. I really, really enjoyed this so much. Really want to get the second one. I think I have it in my wish list because I really want to get the second one. I can't say enough. This was a great mystery. It even had a slight thrilling aspect to it, but it still had a tiny bit of cozy vibes. But let me tell you, it pushes that cozy limit a lot, in my opinion. I felt it less cozy, more mystery thriller. A little bit of cozy. And like I said, the cozy part was where it took place. basically. And the whole idea at the maple farm and all that. That part was very charming, okay? Until you got into what was going on because of the farm, basically. So good. Yeah. Can't recommend that enough. I would say anybody who really likes cozy, this would be more for mystery readers, like heavy mystery readers, I think would enjoy this just as much as maybe a cozy reader might. Okay. So yeah. So that's that one. Okay, the next one. Battle at the Bookshops by Poppy Alexander. This was my lowest rated book. 2.5 stars. I didn't care for it. I actually should have probably DNF'd it, but I did read it all the way through. I kind of wavered to it. And this is kind of like a Romeo and Juliet loosely based retelling idea where you've got Jules Capelthorne and Roman Montbeau. Okay. And their families don't like each other and they're in competition. And what happens is Jules basically comes back to help her aunt with the bookstore because her aunt is not well. So Jules comes back to help with the bookstore, right? And Roman takes the store across the street, okay, and turns it's a multi-level store that had been something else, but the property belonged to them, okay, the Montbeaus, and he turns it into this multi-level fancy schmancy bookstore. And they're right across from each other, and they hate each other, right? So there's that going on. Now, what did I say? There was one element of it. There was one part of it. I wrote it down. This is me. I don't remember a lot of it. So you've got them arguing about the bookstore. There's something else that was going on. Oh, I know what it was. So they found this journal of their ancestor from way back, and it had to do with, because this all was taking place in England, okay? And they found a journal that was from the point where all of the things were happening, where they were basically hanging and burning witches, okay? And her aunt things were happening, and they were trying to basically say her aunt was a witch, like it was all in this journal. So they were basically trying to find out if this journal was real, so authenticated, and then also how much it was worth, right? Because Jules' way of looking at it was that if it was worth a lot, then it could save her aunt's bookstore. And her aunt really needed to retire, right? Like she needed to be out at the bookstore. She needed a place to live where she would be happy and comfortable. And that was really what Jules wanted. And so there were things that happened with this journal. And that was the best part of this whole book. Best part, okay? Because everything else that had to do with the bookstore and her relationship with Roman, which ended up strained because of certain things, like it was just, that part sucked for me. Even the ending, I thought it sort of sucked, but I liked the whole part of the journal part and how that all transpired. That was why I kept on reading, was because of that. I was literally reading through, and I think I skipped certain portions because it was so boring in other parts of it. I would not recommend this book, which is kind of sad. Like, I would say there were parts of it that were a 1 star, and then certain parts of it were like a 3, 4 star, which is why I settled on 2.5. And beyond that, I have nothing more to say about it. Not a great read for me. Okay? Okay. And what one? Oh, yeah, sorry. This was, I cannot remember which one this is for. Hold on. This was a 5. Choose a book with a plot about survival. So that was that one. Okay. And that one I think actually gave me TikTok TBR, but this was the last one I picked because I do have one more. And I think this one came up last because I do remember picking this one last. So, yeah. Not great. So then the last one that I picked is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. And I gave this 4.5 stars. I really like this one. I chose it for number 4. 4 rhymes with floret. Choose a book with transportation on the cover or in the story. So, of course, there's a spaceship, and the entire thing takes place mostly on this ship. Okay? And the ship's called the Wayfarer. So the story kind of starts with one character, Rosemary Harper, and Rosemary is taking a position on the ship. Rosemary's very young, and she is kind of running away from what happened in her past, which does come up later on in the book. And she's going to work on this ship as a registered clerk, which they actually need her because they need her as sort of, because they need her for things that happen on the ship. She's kind of like the communication person, and she does all the billing and invoicing and clerical person, but it also involves other aspects of the job does. And the ship, it's a tunneling ship. And the description of what it does is it tunnels through black holes and creates basically transportation ability from one location to another location. So it builds these tunnels that other ships can travel through easily. So it's basically connecting all these different planets and space areas together. That's what this is doing. On top of all that, the ship itself, it only has a crew of 5, I think, a very small crew. Okay, so you have the captain, and then you have the pilot, you have the navigator, and then you have 2 engineers. Okay, one is kind of like your engine engineer, the other one's like a tech engineer, right? You have, those are the main, and then you have Rosemary basically joining them. And they have been a crew for a long time. Can't recall how long, but a long time they've been together. So she's kind of the new face coming in, and she's got to fit in with the rest of them. But they are, now the captain and the 2 engineers are human, and then the pilot and the navigator are not. They're 2 different species. Oh, and I forgot, there's one more, and that is the chef and doctor, okay? And that's another species. I really enjoyed how she wrote all the species. The depth that she gave all of them was truly amazing, okay? And then what happens as a result that they have this clerk, they are given a job that is going to be a big job, and it's going to make them a lot of money, and it's to tunnel from this new location with a species that they have just created a alliance with. but it is a tenuous at best, right? And this species, the species itself that they've got this new alliance with, has been at war amongst themselves. There's all kinds of different factions. They've all been at war, and this one faction is making the alliance with Earth, basically, right? So there's all kinds of stuff like that going on, and they've got this job, so they have to get there first, and it's a long journey to get there because there's no way to get there. Right now, there's no tunneling for a quick movement from this location to the current space, right? So they have to make a tunnel. And so they have to journey all the way there. There are different kinds of ways that they make tunnels, and they jump off planets and other black holes and things like that. But there's nothing like that. So they're basically going to make, it's like a blind tunnel type idea. So the whole thing, honestly, fascinating. And then the places that they stop on the way, all of that is fascinating. There are some tense moments along the entire journey that are fascinating. So there was that. Only reason I gave it a 4.5 was because there were some slightly sluggish moments through, but that was all. I mean, that was really the only thing that brought this down for me, because otherwise I thought it was fantastic. It was such a great book. I really want to read the next one because it is a continuing series. Loved her writing. Like I said, I really loved the depth and how she created all of the different characters in it. It was just so good. I can't say enough. So good. Primo. Yeah. So that was it. So those were the 5 I read, okay, as part of the 4th Tic Tac TBR. So number 5, Tic Tac TBR, the actual game is going to go up right after this one. And I have actually already read all of those books. So then the review will go up right behind it. I want to put the game up before the review, for obvious reasons, so you can see what books I picked and what books I read. So that's basically going to go up next to videos after this one. And then we're going to be right down to the end of September, and you're going to get my September TBR game. So that's the order everything's going to go in. And yep, that's it for this video. Would love to hear what you think. Would love to hear if you've read any of these, and would like to hear if you think you're going to read any of these. All right, I'll see you in the next video.